What's going on, everybody? Welcome to While You Are Loading. It's a smaller cast of characters this week. It's just me and Charles. A little bit smaller, but it's fine because we're going to get very passionate about our first topic.
We're going to nerd out just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And it's like the first week I think that we're not talking about games.
Yeah.
Which is funny because
100% true.
Yeah, it's going to be the first podcast where we're talking about something else that's not game related. So that'll be interesting to see too how we hold this conversation up for any significant amount of time.
Oh, it'll happen.
Yeah, it'll probably be worse. Like if there's any complaints about us ranting before, it'll probably be worse. So.
Yeah. So our first topic this week is the Ghost in the Shell trailer.
Yeah.
If any of the 6 people who have been watching us consistently, have paid attention, they know that we're both very passionate about Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
It's like my personal favorite thing of all time. If you can't fucking tell,
sure. It's like I'm trying not to get tattoos, but like there's shit that I'm seeing like recently.
Laughing Man logo.
I'm like, oh my god, I have to get this as a tattoo, and that's like one of the symbols too. And I'm like,
yeah,
I just can't do it. So
yeah. So if you guys follow movies and stuff like that, you probably have seen it at this point because the trailer was everywhere for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, like a couple weeks ago, it blew up quite a bit.
But the first full-length trailer for the live-action Ghost in the Shell movie came out a couple weeks ago. We know we're a little bit late on this, but we've been kind of processing it, I guess, for a little bit and trying to figure out how exactly we feel about it.
Yeah, for a while, I didn't want to do this topic for a minute because specifically I didn't want it to be 20 plus minutes of me just shitting on the film. But like you said, I've had time to process it. It's not all bad.
No, it's not. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, go watch it because we're going to be getting pretty deep into this.
Yeah, for sure. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with just...
So I guess maybe first impressions watching it.
Okay, first impressions watching it. Oh, so first impressions watching. Not good.
Not good?
Not good.
I know you don't like the song in it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to talk about was the music that was in it. And I don't know any of the behind the scenes of them making the film of how much it cost for them to license music, or even if they were able to pay enough money to get the music from the original series to put in the trailer. I don't know any of those specifics about it, but I do know what helped sell this film, considering that's coming out in 3 months, is if you at least try to get all the people that are passionate about Ghost in the Shell, suck those people in and let them kind of be like your platform to go out and share this with everyone else who may not really be into Ghost in the Shell. You want to try and do everything that's going to bring them in early. I don't think the music really did that good of a job. I think visually it did. Yeah,
visually it definitely did. It looks very good. Like as far as the cinematography and the style of it, it looks really good. It looks like they tried to keep that as faithful to the original as possible.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, there's a lot that's one aspect of it, and it's the most surface level aspect of it.
Yeah. Did you see the behind the scenes feature where they had the practical, cars and practical. Practical, pretty much everything. There was a lot of stuff that they built by hand.
Yeah.
And that was really cool to see. I love how films are doing that again, where they're building a lot of practical stuff in it because it adds a...
There's been a huge backlash against how shitty CG gets to be
sometimes.
Yeah,
it does. And that was actually a complaint that I saw
in
the
major
comments.
movies. And Avengers 2.
Yeah.
People were so mad about the opening CG in that because it's just
you can see it.
Yeah, it's a $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
It's going to gross $1 billion. You should have spent a little more money
to make it look better. Yeah, and you can totally see. I understand that practical effects is expensive, but I'm happy that they went out of the way to do that. But the funny thing is that the CG that was in the trailer, I noticed that a lot of people complaining about it. I can totally tell that that's CG.
Yeah.
So it's early. They got 3 months, so they might polish it up a little bit. So.
Yeah, and I mean, that's all post-production stuff as far as that goes. So yeah, there's definitely a chance for them to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, surface level, it looks good. As much as we can complain about the fact that it's Scarlett Johansson playing an Asian character, and the fact that there's only, I think, 2 or 3 Japanese people in the entire movie.
Yeah.
That's definitely a problem, but it's a problem that's no longer going to get fixed.
Yeah, it's a problem that's not going to get fixed anymore. And, I've come around, not come around, but I've had time to think about this for God knows how long, like since over a year ago since they announced
it's been a while since they announced it.
It's been a while, and like I've gone back and forth. It's like, and part of me is like I'm sad that Scarlett Johansson is getting so much shit because of this. It's like at the end of the day, she's like I don't. There's no bad intentions from her point,
No.
or from her coming into the film wanting to play a character. I think she gets it. Like I mean, Scarlett Johansson's not a dumb person. Like if you've heard her during interviews, you know that she's very intelligent and she's really smart. And so I'm sure she's perfectly aware. I'm sure they made her perfectly aware if she wasn't of all the backlash that happened if she's tuned out of social media or all the backlash that she's gonna get. So I think that they're gonna try and do it right. But I mean, even some early reports from them filming and then them trying to make characters more Asian-like and they're not Asian. It's like at the end of the day, if this film does bomb, it does make me wonder, would it just been easier for them to go with like an Asian cast and then try and make a really, really good film and sell it like that? But I think me and you both understand what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's from a film publisher standpoint, especially for something that you know is going to be a fairly big budget movie because there's a lot that you have to do for Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
You don't want to take a risk on there being no like real known actors in the movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
You kind of have to put someone in it who is going to, like put butts in seats kind of thing. But it's just, and that I'm not really trying to play devil's advocate with that.
Yeah.
But there has to be kind of a bit of a balance.
Yeah, there does. There's balance of like balance of creatively am I being true to the source material, and then is this going to sell? Is this movie worth making? Are we going to make a profit off of it? Because at the end of the day, a film does have to make money.
Yeah.
Like there are people that work on it. There are people that need to pay their bills, just like any other job. So I don't necessarily agree with the whole notion that they should just go with the all like blank cast where no one knows who the people are because it's not going to sell.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've seen a ton of great films that are like, in my opinion, some of the best films ever made that didn't make any money. So
there's a lot of them that are like that.
Yeah, they're not trying to do that with this. So.
No, and it's a kind of known property. It's known for people who like sci-fi. It's known for people who like anime, and it's known for people, who like The Matrix, because the Wachowskis cite the original movie as a major inspiration for them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of similar. There's people who are probably going to go into this film and say this reminds me a lot of The Matrix. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's kind of get into more of the nuts and bolts kind of thing about this. So you kind of mentioned the behind the scenes thing in the interviews kind of thing about the movie. And there's one thing that I remember seeing. I sent it to you in a text when I first read that. The director and writers were going to try and make it as faithful to the original as possible. And not necessarily as far as the straight story goes, but as far as what makes the series what it is. What do you think about, from the trailer, do you kind of see that?
No. From the trailer, I think we both are in agreement that we see a lot of storylines trying to be smashed together in a 2-hour film. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because Ghost in the Shell has had films in the past. Yeah. But
there's been 4.
Yeah, now. 4 of them now. 4 really good films, actually. And I think now you should be, with this film, I don't think you should either take one of those stories and redo it. Or what you should do is you should come up with a completely new original story that has all those characters in it. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to take some of the best moments of Ghost in the Shell and then mash them all together.
Yeah, I do think they are trying to go a little more for a newer story with all the elements of them. And this is something too that I was talking to another friend of mine about this. Asking her if she saw it because she lives over in Japan right now, and the reaction is very different over there than it is to here.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
But we were kind of talking about this and saying, okay, yeah, you have all this stuff, and it's supposed to make all the diehard fans kind of pop for everything. And it's just okay, cool, the geisha bots. That's cool.
Yeah.
We have all these different storyline elements from all these other the films and TV shows, you have the iconic thing of her jumping off the
jumping
building.
from the first film. Then I'm getting like season 1, season 2, Kuze. Like I don't want to get too far off in, but I mean you're seeing elements of everything.
Yeah, and that could work for it.
Yeah.
It could not work for it because there's a lot of movies that have been adaptations that do that. Like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight films pull from multiple inspirations.
Yeah,
and it does it in a coherent way, and it does it in a much more subtle way. To a degree. I mean, like Dark Knight is definitely, like The Long Halloween, a lot of that.
And we've also seen it more recently done in not a great way, which ironically happens to be another Batman film. That's Batman v Superman, where they mesh a bunch of stuff together.
Yeah, it's overcrowded and it does a little too much.
Yeah, so that scares me. That's one thing that does scare me with it is I think there might be too much going on. And when you have if we get a scenario where Kuze is somehow influencing the story, and then on the other side you have a sub story where there's maybe the Laughing Man element in there, then I don't know. Then we're starting to get, I think, to the point where maybe they should just focus on one. I mean, the Laughing Man, which was
Laughing Man and Puppeteer could work together.
Yeah, that could work
because they're kind of along the same
similar.
lines.
They're similar, and they were done years apart from each other too, right?
Yeah. Because the Puppeteer was the first movie, which was 95.
Yeah.
And then Laughing Man was season 1 of Standalone Complex, which was 2002.
Yeah, something like that. So it was not quite 10 years, but it was 7 or 8 years.
But there's a distance.
Yeah, there's some time in between them.
Going with, Laughing Man aspects and Kuze aspects, it's season 1, season 2.
Yeah, it's a big distance.
And they're very different storylines and very different characters.
Completely different storylines. It's we're talking about geopolitical conflict, and season 2 of Ghost in the Shell kind of reminds you a lot what's happening right now in the world, actually.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking about that. I mean, a lot of season 1 does too, and I think that's one of the things that I really worry that they're going to miss the mark
exactly,
on.
kind of how they influence one another. That's a really good point. That's I didn't think of that until you just said that. But yeah, there's kind of you have this underlying issue, and then on the surface you have very much that season 2 aspect where you see how they influence one another without really spoiling too much. But that's the problem, is that if we get if we're going to Puppeteer with Kuze, then I'm what the fuck is going on with this, man? But they might find a way optimistically they might find a way to blend these together where it actually makes sense. I think it's going to be dumbed down a whole hell of a lot for the general audience, though.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And yeah, they definitely could pull it off with doing all these different storylines because we really don't know anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that we are kind of talking about, just through text messages, could really be considered nitpicky, just different aspects of the characters and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But storyline, we really don't know anything.
No, we don't. We don't know anything about the story, but I mean, that's really all that you have to go off of is just what we've seen as far as footage goes. I mean, the teasers that they put out, those were really not that good.
No.
They missed the ball. They dropped the ball on that. They missed the mark. And then there's a guy who I follow on YouTube now. I think his name is Carlos something. I forgot exactly what his name is, but he's been doing fan edits, and he's been putting the original Ghost in the Shell music over the trailers that they've been putting out. And it literally, if I had to rate it out of 10, I would say that what they put out is probably a 5 or a 6, and then with the music and the way that he's edited it together, it jumps up to an 8 or 8.5 for me. So that right there, I'm well, if it's doing that for me, then I can imagine for some other fans of Ghost in the Shell. If they just need to kind of brush up on the editing a little bit, the music that they've been using, and just the trailers and the overall marketing has not been good.
Yeah.
So
it's something too that, I mean, really, I'm surprised that they're not trying to do a little more of a non-traditional marketing style with this.
Well, isn't it non-traditional what they've done so far?
Well, they did the glitch marketing thing, and then they have the one, or the glitch teasers.
During Mr. Robot.
Yeah, and then they have the one trailer. But I mean, if it's Ghost in the Shell, you would think people know it's a web-based.
Do you remember
internet
the Bradley Cooper
idea.
film Limitless?
Yeah.
The marketing for that film was genius to me, and I remember they had did a lot of stuff with billboards and a lot of stuff in Times Square, and I thought it was absolutely perfect. And a lot of a lot of the ads and stuff like that on television, you didn't even know they were ads for the film, and then at the end of the ad it would say Limitless, and then it have the release date for the film. Limitless, I thought, freaking nailed the marketing for that film. That really drew me in to go see the movie, and it ended up being a pretty good movie. I thought Ghost in the Shell was going to try and replicate something like that with the glitch marketing that they did for.
Well, they have like the perfect thing built in for them to do it too.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah, with the whole glitch marketing thing, but I'm thinking, they could take something like take a scene directly from the show. And set the Laughing Man incident, and not necessarily with the gun pointed to someone's head, but you could do something similar to that. Good Morning America, whatever one is kind of like in Times Square area or something like that, or like right on the street in New York. Imagine if they did something like that.
I mean,
people would go crazy
as
for
much
it.
As much money as they've put in this film, there's so much stuff for them to just drop in real world reality where they could do something like that where they literally shut down like Good Morning America. They could pay them enough money, like, here's what we want to do. We want to market our film for one day out of the week. We want to completely shut this down. We're going to pretend like this was an incident that you guys had nothing, that you knew nothing about. And you can actually even not tell like the host. Just drop the power and then have like the Laughing Man standing in the background. I mean, there's so much stuff that you can do.
They could pre-record it and put the fucking Laughing Man logo as a graphic over it.
Exactly. I mean, there's so much that they could do with this, and they're, like I said, they're not doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm like. That there's some things that are so blatant that they're not doing that I'm like, okay, how serious are they about making a good film?
Yeah.
Because even though the creator and the director like, oh, we're really really passionate, blah blah blah. Okay, you guys might be, but just because you guys are doesn't mean you're gonna make a good film. And so the way that it's being sold right now, I'm like, there's some stuff you guys should be doing right now where I'm like, you could easily, I guarantee you could make $30-40 million on opening weekend, which would probably be pretty damn good for this film.
Oh, absolutely.
So.